Hey there, welcome to the channel. My name's Eric. I'm really excited about today. I'm also really nervous. I did something this week that I have never done before, and that's I bought a piece of equipment from an online auction, sight unseen. You can probably figure out what that equipment is. It's a scissor lift that's right behind me. I'm gonna be interested to find out, did I just waste a bunch of money or did I get a good deal? So let's get it unloaded and let's start playing around with it. I tell you what, I did not have enough weight on the back of that tractor. I should have probably put my backhoe on it. I was really light in the tires. That scissor lift weighs about 3,000 pounds, which is well within the lifting capacity of my tractor, but I needed a lot more weight on the back. I put my wood chipper on there and that was not doing it. So I was going really slow and really low to the ground. And my tires were bouncing the whole way, so giving me quite a bit of a pucker moment as I was driving there, but it's in the barn now, so we're set. So I gotta go return the trailer, and then when we get back, we'll play around with it a bit, see what we got. Well, it moves. That's a good start. Let's see if it goes up and down. Seems to go up and down too. Does the steering work? Steering works too. Well, that's a great start. So why did I buy a scissor lift in the first place? Other than the fact that it's a really cool 3,000 pound go-kart that goes 20 feet in the air, I really needed it for one reason. And that one reason is lights. Actually two reasons, lights and drywall. In my shop, I've got half of it that's got 15-foot tall ceilings and the other half of it that's got a 22.5-foot peaked ceiling. And all of my old fluorescent lights are going out, as well as all of this foil-backed paper that's holding in my insulation. That's all starting to rip. The insulation is falling out, and I really need to get drywall up, not only to kind of hold that back in, but I'd also like to improve the aesthetics of my shop as well. I spend a lot of time out here. So when I looked into renting it, I wanted to do this project kind of at my own pace, and for me to do that, I would have had to rent it for a long time, and it looked like it would be better for me to actually just buy a used one. Granted, I'm taking a risk on the fact that I don't know what I bought, but if it does work out, I fix it up a little bit, make sure it's safe, I use it for my project, eventually I'll sell it so somebody else can use it as well. One of the things that I was looking for when I bought this, or any machine as I was looking for one, is I wanted a video that showed that the basket rose up and down and that it could move back and forth. Because I figured that would cut out at least 90% of the potential problems. Because in reality, you know, these are really, really simple machines. It basically consists of one giant hydraulic cylinder in here that lifts the basket up and down, two hydraulic motors that spin the wheels for driving back and forth, a hydraulic cylinder for steering, and an electric motor and a hydraulic pump. It's also got a battery charger, but really that's about the extent of what these things are. So they're really, really simple. So if I got a video of it moving and going up and down, I felt like that probably put me in a pretty good place. I also looked for one with low hours, because the way these work, this is the hour meter right here. It's got 140 hours on it. The way these things work is that it only counts hours if the electric motor is working. So that means basically you have to either be moving, driving it around, or going up or down. If you've got it in the full height position and you're just doing work up there, your electric motor is not running and you are not counting hours. So some of the used ones you would see like 500 hours on them. That's a pretty typical number. I wanted something a little bit less than that. Doesn't necessarily guarantee you won't have problems, but just felt a little bit better about it. So how these things work is, you know, you got your hour meter here, you got a couple of fuse breakers. This is your beeper when it's moving, that beeps. And then in here, this is where the guts are. And they're pretty simple for how these operate. You've got your relays, which your electronics, which is basically a bunch of relays, things like that, which control the various functions when you send it a signal. This is the main contact switch. So anytime you send it a signal, this turns on the electric motor, which starts the hydraulic pump here, which starts pumping hydraulic fluid from the reservoir, which is right here. And once that starts pumping, it pumps the hydraulic fluid here through this proportional valve, which I'm not real sure on how these work, but a proportional valve basically allows you to more precisely adjust the flow of hydraulic fluid going in, which on a scissor lift is a good thing because you really don't want to send all of that pressure at once into a cylinder because it makes it really jerky. You know, and if you've ever used other hydraulics and you know how they work, it can be real jerky motion. You really want to allow the some more precise control of that motion, especially if you would have the basket all the way up and you're trying to move it. You don't want to have a real jerky action there. So this is what actually allows for that. And then the last piece here is this manifold assembly. And all a manifold assembly does is when you're asking the scissor lift to do something, it sends the hydraulic fluid and the hydraulic pressure to the cylinder that's responsible for doing the action you want it to do. So if you want to move up and down, this sends it to the main cylinder that moves it up and down. If you want to turn it, this sends it to the cylinder that's responsible for turning. If you want to move it forward and back, this sends it to the hydraulic motors on the wheels to move it forward and back. So this is kind of the main brains, at least, of how you divert the hydraulic fluid to the various functions when you ask it for something. And that's pretty much it. So from there, let's go to the other side and take a look and see what we got over there. So if we come over to this side, this is where the batteries are on this side. Same thing, there's a little latch. This thing pulls out just like the other. And under here, you'll find 4 6-volt batteries. And they're wired in series. And that means it's putting out 24 volts to run that electric motor and all the other stuff over there. The one thing I looked at when I was buying these on auction is I wanted to make sure when I was thinking about what I was willing to spend on one that I was calculating in if I needed to replace the batteries. These batteries aren't cheap. They're pretty, I mean, it's a 230 amp hour battery. I think they're deep cycle type batteries. And each one of these is about $200 to $250. And it is something that you've got to replace from time to time, especially on rental machines that get used a lot, like those high hour machines. But in this case, I charged it up overnight, got no errors on the charger. The battery seemed to be holding charges. I've been moving it around today a little bit, but it seems to be going pretty good. The only thing I really haven't done is check to make sure that, you know, at a full charge it is still 24 volts. So I was going to do that now. So the way you do that is if you've got a voltmeter, you put it on measuring DC voltage. And since this is wired in series, you need to measure across all the batteries, because if you only measure across, you know, one battery, you're only going to get 6 volts. If you measure across 2 batteries, you're going to get 12 volts. 3 batteries, 18 volts. And then if you measure across all 4 batteries, you know, I'm getting 25.5 volts, which is great. That's exactly what I want to see. So I think I got real lucky on the battery side too. I won't really know until I start using it a lot and seeing if the batteries drain quick or things like that. But like I said, I didn't get any errors on the charger. It's holding the right amount. It doesn't seem to be dropping real fast, even though I haven't used it much. So time will tell on that. The only other thing on this particular unit, and I saw this when I was buying it, is the wheels. So I'll show you the wheels right now. And you can see with these wheels, they're pretty beat up. They're missing chunks out of it. This one's got no tread. Most of them have really no tread. You can see big chunks out of the wheels. You can see that down here as well. It's missing a lot. This chunk is kind of coming out here. So I had seen that and I was planning on probably replacing it. When I was researching these things, the manual and the manufacturer actually says that when these get in bad condition, you're missing chunks, you really should replace them. So that was another thing when I looked at this one and doing the research. New tires are about a few $100s. They're not cheap, but I kind of figured that out when I was bidding for this too. All right, last thing I want to check is I just want to check the main hydraulic cylinder. Make sure it all looks okay. There's no leaks that I'm seeing or anything like that. And that's under here. So you got to lift the main basket up to get to it. And these machines, they have a panel on the bottom, on the ground, that you can operate the basket moving up and down from to help you do that. So I'm going to get the basket up and then we'll see how that cylinder looks. One thing you got to watch when you're raising it from the ground is you always got to watch the ceiling. You really don't want to ram that up into the ceiling. But if you can see here, you don't want to stick your hands in there quite yet, because if there is a hydraulic failure or something like that, that could end up really bad for you. So what they've got is they've got this bar here that you drop down, and then I'll lower the basket down, and that bar comes and sits right here. That way, if anything fails, the cylinder fails or anything, this basket's not going anywhere. So now, no matter how much I try, I can't get that to lower anymore. If I go back there and turn it to lower, it's going to stick right there. So now I can stick my hands in there and feel fairly confident that it's not going to be a problem. Let's take a look at what that cylinder looks like. So all in all, that looks pretty good. It's got a lot of dust and dirt on it. I don't know where this was used before, but you can see it's got it all built up on it. Doesn't look like paint, but I don't know what it is. If we look up here at the cylinder, it looks pretty good. I don't see any leaks. I don't see any scratches. So that's looking pretty good. So last thing we want to do is I'm going to just go get it all pressure washed. But let's get the basket lowered and we'll go from there. I got it all cleaned off. It's not going to win any beauty contests, but that's really not the point. I just wanted to get the dirt and gunk cleaned off of it to make it easier to work on. And if a problem does come up, it's easier to find what that problem is, especially with things like hydraulic leaks and that kind of stuff. So I've got it opened up behind me and drying out. Right now, I'm really pretty happy because it does everything that a scissor lift is supposed to do. I can drive it forward and backwards, I can turn it, I can go up, and I can come back down. Really, that's about all you can ask of a scissor lift, and it does all those things. But only time's going to tell, because I haven't really used it much, so I'm looking forward to getting going with a few projects and really seeing how well it holds up. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I'm looking forward to seeing you at the next one.